What's up, YouTube? I know the offseason is far from done, but I wanted to come on here and grade every single team's offseason so far. Um, I know there's still, a lot of moves to be made. I expect guys like Zach LaVine, Trey Young to still be traded this offseason. Uh, there's still very good free agents available as well. DeMar DeRozan being the main one. Who knows where he goes? I could see him, maybe like the Clippers, Sacramento Kings, maybe even the Lakers, even back to the Chicago Bulls. Who knows what goes on with DeMar DeRozan? But for now, I wanted to come on here and grade every single team's offseason. The Philadelphia 76ers, man, drafting Jared McCain, I loved a lot. Jared McCain, I thought that was an amazing pick. I thought him and Dalton Connect were the best players available at the 16th pick in the draft with the 76ers. That's what they had in the draft. I thought Jared McCain and Dalton Connect were the best players available, and they selected Jared McCain. I thought it was an amazing pick. I made a mock draft, and that's where I had Jared McCain going. I thought he was the perfect fit next to Tyrese Maxey. And obviously, signing Paul George, absolutely amazing move. Re-signing Tyrese Maxey, taking care of Tyrese Maxey for the future, $205 million extension, and then signing Andre Drummond off the bench is, I think, a big underrated move that the 76ers did this offseason. I think not Draymond Green. Andre Drummond is an elite rebounder. He brings so much energy off the bench, and I think he's the perfect backup center to back up Joel Embiid. And they also signed Eric Gordon, pretty good off the bench. I'm going to give the 76ers an S. I think they probably had the best offseason so far out of all the teams. The Washington Wizards selecting Alex Sarr with the second pick, who I thought was the best player in the draft. Anytime you can get the best player in the draft with the second pick, I think you won. And they signed Jonas Valanciunas, who I think is the perfect center to pair next to Alex Sarr, adding an elite rim protector in Alex Sarr and an elite rebounder in Jonas Valanciunas. I think that's a perfect pairing. I'm going to give the Washington Wizards an A. The Atlanta Hawks. Man, drafting Zachary Rasache, I do not think he's the best player in the draft. I don't think he's the second best player in the draft, and I don't even think he's the third best player in the draft. He'd probably be somewhere at 4 or 5 for me as of right now. But, I'm not saying he can't be, something special in the future, but just right now, I don't really see it. I think he has a lot, to improve on. But they also did lose DeJounte Murray, which I did not like that trade at all. I thought you could have got a better package for DeJounte Murray. So for that, I'm going to give the Atlanta Hawks a D. The Cleveland Cavaliers, they re-signed Donovan Mitchell, so that's automatically going to give you a dub, in my opinion. A lot of people thought that Donovan Mitchell was going to be leaving this offseason, but that was not the case. They drafted Jalen Tyson. Wasn't the biggest fan of that pick in the draft. So I'm going to give the Cleveland Cavaliers a C tier. I don't think they've done much to make their team better, so that's why I give them a C, in my opinion. The Detroit Pistons, selecting Ron Holland. I love Ron Holland as a player, but I do not think, his fit in Detroit, I don't really like it. I thought they should have drafted, a very good shooter. This team really, really lacks three-point shooting, especially around Cade Cunningham, who is your franchise player. You need to build around him. You just gave him an extension, and you've done nothing to build around him. You're not doing much in free agency. The Detroit Pistons, they're going to be bad again. I'm going to give the Detroit Pistons a D. The Indiana Pacers, in the Eastern Conference Finals last year, they re-signed Obi Toppin. They're kind of in the same tier as the Cleveland Cavaliers for me. They haven't done much to make their team better. And I think when you're on, that fringe, best team in the East, like you're kind of in that 4th, 5th, 6th, seed in the Eastern Conference. I think you need to do more to make your team better. I think the Indiana Pacers and the Cleveland Cavaliers are in that same boat in the Eastern Conference Finals. Or not the Eastern Conference Finals. In the Eastern Conference, and they haven't done much to make their team better, so I'm going to put them in C with the Cleveland Cavaliers. The Milwaukee Bucks, Their draft selection of A.J. Johnson was a little bit questionable, but I actually like what they're doing in free agency. Obviously, they don't have much money, to spare with, but they signed guys that I think can make their team better in Taurean Prince and DeLon Wright. So I think I'm going to give the Milwaukee Bucks a B. And I also like their second-round selection more than their first-round selection. I thought they could have swapped. I thought A.J. Johnson could have been the 33rd pick, and I thought Tyler Smith, who they drafted with the 33rd pick, could have been the 23rd pick. And that would have made more sense in my opinion. But I like their Tyler Smith selection in the draft, honestly. So that in my opinion, makes the A.J. Johnson selection a little better, because you did select a very good player with the 33rd pick. So I kind of just look at it as the Bucks selected A.J. Johnson with the 33rd pick and not the 23rd, if that makes sense. The Toronto Raptors, I love their draft pick in Jacoby Walter. I think he's probably one of the better scorers in the draft. And acquiring Davion Mitchell this offseason, amazing. I think the Toronto Raptors are actually going to be sneaky good next season. I think they're going to be fighting for a play-in spot, but who knows? Maybe they could get into that top 6. Going to be hard with, the Indiana Pacers, the Cleveland Cavaliers, teams like that. But I think they could be fighting with them, and Scotty Barnes just got that extension. Hopefully he's healthy this year, and I'm actually very excited to watch this Toronto Raptors team. I'm going to give them a B. The Dallas Mavericks, getting an elite shooter in Klay Thompson around Kyrie and Luka Doncic is absolutely what you needed. You did lose Derrick Jones, however, but you replaced him with Najee Marshall, which I think was a pretty solid replacement if you ask me. I'm going to give the Dallas Mavericks an S. I really like their offseason. The Denver Nuggets, losing KCP is going to be huge, and they lost Bruce Brown last offseason. Losing KCP and Bruce Brown in back-to-back offseasons, absolutely terrible. The Denver Nuggets, I don't know, man. I don't expect them to be a top 3 seed in the Western Conference next season. I just think that's too big of a loss. That's your starting shooting guard. Who's going to start at the 2? Christian Brown? Is that who he's going to be? I don't know. This is a team that already lacks depth, so you're taking one of your better bench scorers and putting them in the starting lineup in Christian Brown. So who knows with the Denver Nuggets. I'm going to give them a D. I do not like losing KCP and not having a solution for that. So we'll see how it goes for Denver, though. The Memphis Grizzlies, selecting Zach Edey in the draft was very interesting. I'm interested to see how that plays out in Memphis. But I'm actually starting to come around to the fact that Zach Edey could be a decent NBA player. I'm going to give the Memphis Grizzlies a C. I think they're going to be, they haven't done much in free agency, but I still think they're going to be, in that top 3, top 4 seed in the Western Conference next year, assuming John Morant, fixes the off-the-court issues and he's just ready to play basketball. I think the Memphis Grizzlies are going to be very, very good next season. The Minnesota Timberwolves, I automatically give them an A just because of the Rob Dillingham, trade. I really like that. I think Rob Dillingham and Anthony Edwards are going to be one of the better backcourts in the future. I don't think he starts right away. They still have Mike Conley, Mike Conley's still playing at a very great level for his age. They did lose Kyle Anderson. They lost Monte Morris. So those are some, decently big losses in my opinion. But the Rob Dillingham trade, absolutely amazing. The San Antonio Spurs, they made that Rob Dillingham trade. I did not like it, but I think signing Chris Paul was a very smart move. You saw what Chris Paul did for SGA's career in OKC. I think he's going to do maybe even more for Wemby's career. I really like San Antonio Spurs and what they're doing. For Wembanyama, I give them an A. I just think anytime you add Chris Paul to your team, I just think it's an amazing move. I love Chris Paul. I think he makes every single team a lot better. The Utah Jazz, they had the best draft in the 2024 NBA draft, so automatically that gives them an A tier. Have they done much in free agency? No, they have not. But they're building through the draft, and they completely aced the draft, in my opinion. I think they had probably one of the best drafts I've seen in a long time. The Los Angeles Clippers, they did lose Paul George. I know that's what you guys are going to say, so they should automatically be at the bottom. But I do not think this team is done making moves. I still think they want to be competitive. I think they're probably one of the favorites to land DeMar DeRozan, but I think they could be a team that trades for like a guy like Zach LaVine. So I still am holding out hope for this Clippers team. But even right now, I don't think they have a bad team. They re-signed James Harden. They signed Derrick Jones Jr., who, if you watched him in Dallas, very underrated role player. Guarded the best player in every series for the Dallas Mavericks throughout their playoff run into the finals. I actually think the Clippers right now would be a very solid team in the NBA. But for now, I'm going to put the Clippers at a B tier. I know some of you guys expect them to be down here, but I'm not doing that. I still think the Clippers are a very competitive team. Are they contenders? No, they are not. But if they add a guy like Zach LaVine, I don't know, man. We'll see. We could revisit this. The Phoenix Suns. They drafted Ryan Dunn in the draft. Have they done much to make their team better in free agency? No, they have not. They do have limited resources, though. However, when you have Devin Booker and Bradley Beal and Kevin Durant on your team, when you have that big three, not much you can do, spending-wise. I'm going to give them a C. The Portland Trailblazers. Drafting Donovan Clingan in the draft. I love Donovan Clingan as a player, but it's just a weird fit when you have Rob Williams and DeAndre Ayton, so I expect them to move off of one of them. What else have they done in free agent? They lost Malcolm Brogdon. Oh, they traded for Denny Avdia, who I like a lot. I'm going to give the Portland Trailblazers a B. Just that Denny Avdia trade I thought was amazing. I like Denny Avdia a lot. Sacramento Kings, losing Davion Mitchell. I really, really like Davion Mitchell as a player. I liked him since he was coming out of Baylor. So losing Davion Mitchell and, adding Devin Carter, pretty solid replacement, honestly. I know, but Davion Mitchell, I don't know. Maybe I'm just biased. I really like Davion Mitchell. I do like Devin Carter, though, and they also got Jalen McDaniels, who is Jaden McDaniels' brother. Not a bad addition as well. I'll give the Sacramento Kings a B, just because they were able to find a replacement for Davion Mitchell. The New York Knicks, adding Mikal Bridges instantly put them in S tier, but losing Isaiah Hartenstein. Man, Isaiah Hartenstein is such an amazing player. If you watched him in this playoff run, he did so good for the Knicks. I think it's going to be a big loss for the Knicks, but taking care of OG as well for the future and trading for Mikal Bridges will still put them in A, but I think losing Isaiah Hartenstein is a huge loss. The New Orleans Pelicans, they got DeJounte Murray, in which I thought was a steal. I didn't think they traded much for him. If you guys can go watch the video on my full thoughts of that trade. But they did lose Jonas Valanciunas, so as of right now, their starting center would be the rookie they drafted, Yves Missi, who I think is actually a solid player, but that's a lot of pressure for a rookie to be under, being the starting center on what's going to be, in my opinion, a very competitive team in the Western Conference Final. Or why do I always say Western Conference Finals? In the Western Conference. So, I'm going to give the New Orleans Pelicans an A for now, but I would like to see them move off of Brandon Ingram and get a starting level center, maybe like a Jared Allen for Brandon Ingram swap with the Cleveland Cavaliers. That would put them in S tier for me. But as of right now, their center spot looking a little iffy. Like I said, I like Yves Missi. I just think it's too much pressure for a rookie to be under. But who knows? Maybe he can be like a Derek Lively. We saw Derek Lively was playing center for the Dallas Mavericks in the finals. But they still had guys like Daniel Gafford. So don't get me wrong. I like Derek Lively, and I'm very high on him. But they still had guys like P.J. Washington and Daniel Gafford on the team. So that's something the New Orleans Pelicans do not have. The Charlotte Hornets. I did not like their draft in drafting Tejan Salon. haven't done much to make this team better in free agency. Charlotte Hornets are going in the D tier for me. I don't know, man. Charlotte Hornets, you notice a trend, except for the Denver Nuggets. You notice the trend. These teams are usually drafting in the lottery. I know the Hawks were in the play-in, but still, these three teams right here, I don't know, man. Horribly ran teams. The Houston Rockets, I loved their selection in drafting Reed Shepherd. I think he's the best shooter in the draft. I think he's going to come in right away and make an impact for the Houston Rockets. Have they done much in free agency to make their team better? No, they have not. They have not. But that Reed Shepherd selection I really liked. So I'm going to give the Houston Rockets a B just for that selection. The Miami Heat, selecting Khalil Ware in the draft, I thought that was an amazing pick to pair next to Bam Adebayo. I think Bam Adebayo projects more as a 4 than he does as a 5. So I think Khalil Ware could be, the starter for the Miami Heat. But we'll see with that. But have they done much in free agency to make their team better? I know I keep saying that, but that's kind of what it is. And no, they have not. I'm going to put the Miami Heat in the C tier. The Chicago Bulls, they paid Patrick Williams. Patrick Williams, decent player. For now, I would probably put the Chicago Bulls in C just because they haven't lost DeRozan or LaVine yet. But even then, I don't think I would put them in D because I kind of think they do need to move off of guys like DeRozan and LaVine and rebuild. I kind of like the Giddey trade with Caruso for Giddey. I know some people are trying to clown the Bulls, saying that they didn't get enough for Caruso, but Giddey is 21 years old, and he averaged 16, 6, and 8, I believe, in his age 20 season. People are not considering that at all. But, people just react how they want to react to trades. But Josh Giddey is a player with a lot of potential, in my opinion, still. The Brooklyn Nets, Ben Simmons, looking like he's going to get traded. They did move off of Mikal Bridges, which they got a haul for him. So getting what they got for the Brooklyn Nets, I think they're in a great place for the future. I would have liked him to see them move off of Nicholas Claxton, but they re-signed him, which kind of shocked me a little bit. But, maybe they re-sign him and they can deal him at the deadline. I think that's very realistic, in my opinion. So just judging off what they got off of Mikal Bridges, I'm going to give the Brooklyn Nets an A. The Oklahoma City Thunder, they probably had the best or the second best offseason after the Philadelphia 76ers. Alex Caruso, better fit for their team than Josh Giddey was. And Isaiah Hartenstein, oh my God, absolutely amazing. I think the Isaiah Hartenstein signing with the Oklahoma City Thunder was the second best signing of the offseason so far. Second best signing of free agency so far after Paul George to the Philadelphia 76ers. I think Isaiah Hartenstein is that good, and I think he fits perfectly next to Chet in OKC. The Golden State Warriors, very similar situation to the Los Angeles Clippers, losing a big name like the Clippers lost Paul George. The Warriors lost a franchise legend in Klay Thompson. But I think they've done, very solid in replacing him. They traded for Buddy Hield, who I'm not saying Buddy Hield is Klay Thompson, but Buddy Hield is an elite shooter. Buddy Hield is a very good player, and they got guys like DeAnthony Melton and Kyle Anderson, who I think can make their team better. I'm actually going to give the Golden State Warriors a B. Do I think they're, having an amazing offseason? No, I do not. But they're making some decently solid moves, in my opinion, and they might not be done. I could see, a trade where the Golden State Warriors land like a Lauri Markkanen, maybe even a Zach LaVine, maybe. I don't think the Golden State Warriors are done making moves. The Boston Celtics, my Boston Celtics, I'm going to give them a B. Have they done much to make their team better? No, but have you seen how much they're paying their starters, especially now? They're paying their starters almost $1 billion. It's like 970 or 930 million for their starters within the next couple of years. So just ridiculous. But I give them a B because they were able to re-sign a lot of their guys. Luke Cornett, they signed Jason Tatum to the biggest deal in NBA history. They re-signed Derek White, which I thought was an underpay, honestly. It looks like Derek White took, a discount to stay with the Boston Celtics. Neemias Queta was another re-sign. I mean, the Boston Celtics did what they did in this offseason, and they're bringing their guys back. It's looking like the Celtics are going to run it back. The Los Angeles Lakers, the only reason I'm not putting them in D tier is because they drafted Dalton Knecht, and I think Dalton Knecht is a day one plug-and-play player for the Los Angeles Lakers. I thought it was a J.J. Redick pick. I thought it was absolutely genius, honestly. Genius selection. And, Bronny James, they drafted in the second round, which, who knows with Bronny. I'm really interested to see how Bronny plays in the Summer League. I think he's actually going to be better than people are giving him credit for. But do I think he's, an NBA player right away in the league? I don't know. I think it just depends on how he plays in Summer League. I'm really rooting for the guy, though. I love Bronny James a lot as a basketball player and as a person. Has a very, great personality. Just a very likable guy. But the Lakers in free agency have not done anything to make their team better. They literally have made no moves. They haven't made any moves. They lost Taurean Prince. But just their draft and drafting Dalton Knecht is going to save them from being, towards the bottom. The Orlando Magic signing KCP was amazing. Drafting Tristan da Silva, another amazing selection. I think the Orlando Magic are going to be a team to be reckoned with next year. I think they're going to be a very, very good team in that Eastern Conference. I'm not going to put the Orlando Magic in A. I'm actually going to put them in S. I think that KCP signing was that good, and I expect the Orlando Magic to be a lot better than they were last year. I think they're going to be a second-round team next year with the ceiling of possibly even going to an ECF next year. I think they're going to be very good. I'm very high on the Orlando Magic going into next season. But that's my tier list and draft ranking, off-season ranking, I guess, for next season. Let me know what you guys think about these rankings down below, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.